It doesn't look like much anymore. It's stained, it's old, the letters are rubbing off. But this Prima water brush is my favorite water brush. And I have a number of them actually, just to make sure that when I lose them, that there's always one around waiting for me. Now you might notice up here, the water is orange. That's something I want to show you with a water brush. If you don't clean it, meaning, you know, sit here and make sure there's no color. You see how it's fading? Okay. If you don't clean it after you use it, guess what? It's going to keep that color. Hey guys, May Flom here, and this is a quick product review video. Today's subject is Prima water brushes. Now, what is a water brush? Why do you need it? Water brush is a paintbrush, but it has a handy dandy little removable top, and you can, excuse me while I get a better grip on that, so you can pop this out, add water back in, and this is really useful for a lot of watercolor techniques, so that instead of continually dipping your brush back into the water, you just give it a gentle squeeze. This is a softer plastic up here, harder plastic up here. So if you're trying to grip and not add water, I usually just try to move my finger down a little more. When I'm ready to give it a squeeze, move my fingers up a little, squeeze it a little. And I'll show you, let's see, I'll show you on my hand here. So as I squeeze it, what you'll see is at the top, you'll kind of see right up here, you'll see the water coming, and then it'll soak the bristles. Now, I usually just kind of go like that on my hand and then get to work. My hand is my palette with a water brush. And the same thing goes for when I'm ready to wash it and start with a new color. Same thing. Now, this is my personal favorite because this sucker is a couple years old, and I've taken it all over and used it all the time, and it won't break. As old as it is, it has like 2 little stray bristles, but for the most part, everything looks good on it. It's still functioning. The bristles haven't broken off. They haven't frayed, and I'm not nice to my water brushes either, guys. So that's why this is the brand you usually see me using, because they hold up really well. Can you just use absolutely any paintbrush for anything the water brush does? Yes. Why don't I? Again, I don't always like, depending on what I'm doing, going to dip the water. If, for example, you know, let's say I have a heart. Wow, that's a bad heart. We're just rolling with it though. Okay, so we have a heart, and you see how I'm squeezing up here? Just enough. I only put pressure on it to make sure that the water is coming out. I don't squeeze like I did over here to drench, because that's not what I'm trying to do here. So I'm getting this area so we can prep things with it. It's just nice. Like I said, it's a convenience thing. It's also really great when I'm on the road. If I'm traveling and I have one of these, then I can watercolor and play and blend without a lot of fuss. I don't have to have a little dish of water. I don't need a little dish of water because I have my water brush. So that's always really nice. So I can sit here and play with blending, color, and you see how I can keep squeezing to keep more water flowing. When I want more blend or less, I can let off of it and move my fingers down a bit. When I just want to move that color around that I already have, or otherwise when I just do not want that color to be any more watered down. And it's just, to me, it's really become, you can see this one, it does have a couple of bristles starting to fray a little bit. But you can really, despite how big this seems at first, you can get a pretty fine point there and really work in pretty much any level of detail that you want, which I really enjoy. There is also this one with the much broader. I almost never use this one, I'll be honest, because it's so broad. Sometimes there'll be things where I want to create an effect, and I'll use that to prepare the surface and then say, put a little color down. Now I'm using a clean color brush pen only because that's just the quickest, easiest thing I've got to demonstrate any watercolors or distress inks or anything else that you would use with a water brush. You absolutely can. And yes, that's me water brushing my hand again. So you can see I prepped that area and then it's all blendy and doing its pretty thing. I could also get an area set and do something like a powdered watercolor would be kind of fun. Okay, so, ooh, that's fun. So I could paint, and I have done this, paint something with a water brush, a shape, let's say, then come in here with something like Brusho and create, by putting it all over, this will only stick where the water is. So by painting in water and then using this, I can create a shape. It's a pretty straightforward, simple product, but guess what? You know what? It's the simple tools that really make the most difference in my crafting, which is why I'm doing this whole series of videos. You'll find a link to my website below in the description of this video where I've got a whole list of where to find these things, as well as all of my current, most loved, most used and abused, trusted crafting tools. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment.